Good morning everybody and welcome back to another video. It's actually afternoon, so yeah, it's not the first time I've done that and it certainly won't be the last. Yeah, good afternoon everybody. So today I thought I'd do another discussion video. This is one of the videos where I basically start a topic or give an opinion on a topic and then open the floor to you guys in the comment section in the video, on the comment section on Reddit or wherever else this video may end up, to see what your thoughts are on said topic. And today's topic is fire prevention equipment and repairs, but more specifically it's to do with the little tiny change with rather large effects, in my opinion, that Gaijin decided to make to the FPE in this patch 1.79. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure the majority of you do if you've been playing the game since the patch, for those of you who don't know, what Gaijin has done is they've changed the FPE system so that now, if you get set on fire and you use the fire prevention equipment, you have a cooldown timer before you can use it again. That's basically it, really. Now, a little bit of background information onto why I think this may actually annoy people more than Gaijin thought. We have to go back to the very beginning of Ground Forces, 3-4 years ago. And that's basically because there's been an argument in the game for a long time now that FPE and repairs should be free. Or at least, you don't have to research them, so you get them straight away for every vehicle in the game. There are people who are for and against this, and there are people who point to World of Tanks and say, well, a repair kit in World of Tanks certainly isn't free. Which is true, it's not. Neither is the fire prevention equipment. But you don't have to unlock it in World of Tanks. In World of Tanks, you pay credits to replenish it every time you use it, which personally I think is the better system. As for the cooldown timer on the FPEs themselves, I don't know, I can't really think of what Gaijin was going for when they thought that this was a good idea. Yeah, it works, it functions, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. And if you got, let's say, make it an even number, let's say you had 6 fire prevention equipment uses, which is a bit much, but 4 or 6, you know, because I imagine they do it in an even number. If you had that many, then it would make sense to have it on a cooldown, because that way you can't get set on fire 3 times in the space of a minute and survive. As it was beforehand, you could get set on fire twice in the space of about 30 seconds and still survive. But then the chances of you surviving in that sort of situation in the first place are very slim. Any player, especially at top tier, any player that's any good will set you on fire and immobilize you, and then take this, if they don't kill you in the first shot this is, and then use the second shot to incapacitate and destroy your tank. So going for an ammo rack, going for your gunner, going for your breach, basically doing whatever they can to lower the possibility that you're going to return fire. Most of the time when you get set on fire, you probably don't even spot the tank that shot you. It's a first shot target area, in my opinion anyway. Like I said, this is assuming that the enemy player is not trying to destroy your tank in one shot, which is my preferred method personally. However, if I don't know exactly what I'm fighting, like the Leopard 2A4 for example, I still haven't quite gotten used to the weak spots on that thing. Although I am getting there. I've started just going for the lower plate shot, which seems to detonate the ammo rack and send the turret flying off most times, say 8 out of 10 times. So that's probably going to be my preferred method of dealing with the 2A4. But as I said, some people will just go for the engine shot if they don't know any better targets, and then get around the side of you, get around the rear, and basically chip away at you one shot after another. Not a terrible idea, I suppose. It works. If it's what they prefer to do, then it's what they're going to continue doing. It isn't the best way to take out an enemy tank. Far from it. If you can hear that, please. I'm sorry about that. That's the washing machine beeping. It's, you know, it's one of these things that it's just going to happen at some stage during your War Thunder career, especially at lower tiers, and it's going to happen all the way through. So, if I was to be blunt, I would ask, why have Gaijin decided that adding a cooldown timer to the fire prevention equipment was a good idea? Because I genuinely don't know. It seemed like a very random idea on their part, and as far as I can tell, they haven't actually given a reason for it. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't read the patch notes. I pay attention to the vehicles, and if there's a vehicle that sticks out at me as being interesting, then I'll look into it in more detail. But as far as general patch notes go, aside from balance changes in terms of BR, currency, you know, how much money you earn per vehicle, how much XP you earn per vehicle and things like that, I don't tend to read into it very much. So for anybody who may be watching this who may know why Gaijin thought this was a good idea, or think you know why they thought it was a good idea, then let me know in the comments, because I'm interested to hear your opinion on it. Personally, I don't think they had a reason. I think it was just maybe one of the developers was bored and decided that they were going to fiddle around with some in-game mechanics. In this case, FPEs. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not going to break the game, but at the same time it's kind of a middle finger to everybody who's been saying and asking Gaijin nicely for the past, 2 or 3 years, maybe more, please can you make FPEs and repairs available to every player when they first unlock a tank. Don't make them free. We're not asking you to make them free. We're asking you to make them available to those of us who have these new tanks. There are some tanks in the game where the low tier grind when you first unlock the vehicle is horrible enough as it is without having to worry about being set on fire constantly. And I don't know about you guys, but it may just be a complete coincidence or my very bad luck, but whenever I've been set on fire in a tank without FPEs, it's always been in the sort of situation where I could survive. For example, I'm moving down a road at high speed, they fire a shot, maybe aiming for the front of my hull, but due to the distance that they've had to fire, it hits me in the rear, sets my engine on fire, sets my fuel tank on fire, whatever, and I'm now in between buildings, covered, so they are no longer able to hit me. They get taken out, and I just sit there and burn to death. In that sort of situation, if I had had FPEs, I could have survived that. Now let's say, hypothetically speaking, you're driving along, same as I was in that description, in that scenario then, and you do have FPEs. They hit you in the fuel tank, not in the engine. This is one of those fires that does not affect your tank's ability to move, like an engine fire would. You get hit in the fuel tanks, your tank begins to burn. You do have FPEs, but you've already used one of them because you got hit in the fuel tanks. You're still able to move. So you put the fire out, drive on, you'd come between another junction then, shall we say, between buildings. You get shot again, you get hit in the fuel tank. You have FPEs, but because of the cooldown, you can't use them. You burn up. How frustrating would that be? Now I know that's not very likely to happen. I know it's not going to be something that people run into constantly. It's going to be something that happens 2 or 3 times and you get frustrated as hell about it, so you decide to play in a particular way that minimises the chances of it happening again as best you can, which really is what we should be doing to begin with as far as fires are concerned. It does make new players who are driving a new vehicle play it far more cautiously than they would normally, and I don't think that's entirely a bad thing myself. I've become a lot more confident with the M1 Abrams since I did my review video on it, and I'm continuing to unlock more parts for it as I go. I've currently just got the crew replenishment module, and I am really enjoying it. And these fire prevention equipment issues though are something that has actually been plaguing me since this patch. And it's not just my M1 Abrams, it's my other tanks as well. So to round this up, for the sake of total coverage and total fairness, this isn't going to be an issue for every tank in the game. It's going to be more of an issue for some tanks than others. Tanks that are not very mobile and not very fast are a lot more succumb to getting hit in the engine and getting shot at and hit, period, more than tanks that are mobile and able to run away as quickly as they can. Mostly German tanks in this case, the Leo 2A4, the Leo 2K, the Leo A1A1, the Leo 1, the M1 Abrams. You know, all of these tanks are pretty mobile, pretty fast, able to get out of trouble as quickly as they are able to get into it. In theory, this makes their lives easier, but then again, like in the scenario I described a minute ago, should they get hit, it's only more frustrating for them. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. Like I said, I don't know why Gaijin thought that this was necessary. I personally think one of the developers was having a bit of a lazy day and decided he'd mess around with the game mechanics like I said earlier, but for the life of me, I can't figure out why. I mean, it's like the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And in this instance, I think Gaijin definitely tried to fix something that was already kind of broken in the first place, in the sense that you have to research FPEs and repair kits. Repair kits, of course, are a whole different story, but I figured I'd mention that as well, given it's the same sort of debating topic. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. Let me know why you think Gaijin did this down in the comments on Reddit or wherever. I want to know what you think, because like I said, I have absolutely no idea why they thought this was a good idea. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next War Thunder video. Cheers.